Welcome back to the Crypto Trends Podcast, where we cover all things cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web 3.0, and AI. I'm Robert Croak, and I'm joined by my co-host, Armando Pantoja. We're excited to bring you the best information, guidance, and strategies each and every Wednesday. So follow along and always remember to take notes and take action. So before we get into the talking points, it's been relatively slow this week for crypto. So no dramatic price swings. Nobody's got to worry. There's nothing crazy happening. And Bitcoin continues to try and inch back to all-time highs, which is awesome. So in this podcast episode, we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin update, what's happening with XRP, altcoin updates, and the halving is 10 days away from the release of this episode. So we're very excited for things to come. So Armando, take us into talking point number one. The market continues to attempt to rebound. What does that look like? Walk our listeners through it.
Exactly. I love to see it, Bitcoin showing strength. And the thing about me with Bitcoin is that I've always felt like Bitcoin has shown strength. Throughout the halvings, throughout its entire life cycle, it's shown strength. A lot of people couldn't see it, but that's what was happening with these halving cycles and with these impulses and corrections. Each time there's been a dip in the market, it's been quickly bought up. And that's including the bear cycles after the halvings and even up until today. Instead of going down sharply and then bouncing down even harder, it kind of went slower and then consolidated for a few weeks between support and resistance. That makes sense though, because early in market cycles, it's a lot easier to push prices up. As the cycle matures, more and more players enter the market space, and it makes it a lot harder, a lot more complex to see these dramatic price movements. That's why I think we're seeing a lot of consolidation right now, because it's building up strength for that next move.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I couldn't agree more. Consolidation usually points to a shift of money from Bitcoin into altcoins, but we'll wait to get to altcoins later in this episode. And I think a lot of it right now is just so much based on the amount of money being poured into the crypto space through the ETFs and everyone else that's excited. So I think there's a lot of FOMO going on, and this halving might be a little bit different. So do you think that's where we're headed next?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a good chance that we could see 80,000 here soon. Even 85, I agree with you. At the time of recording this episode right now, we're very early in this breakout. We just broke a symmetrical triangle, which is a positive sign. If it proceeds to confirm this breakout, I would say that 80,000 is not possible, but it's imminent.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion. It's so important to remember the liquidation cluster of $7 billion at $75,000 that we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks. If Bitcoin continues to march upwards, it should rip through the 75,000 with ease and liquidate all of those shorts that still remain open. We've been bouncing back and forth, and we haven't liquidated those yet. So what tends to happen when the short positions and the billions of dollars get liquidated is that it causes an explosion of price even higher. Thus why I think the shorts could get liquidated. Then we would propel Bitcoin into that $80,000, $82,000 pretty quickly.
So I got a question for you. What do you think would happen if Bitcoin hits that $80,000 mark next week? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, and I'm not trying to do that, but I know we had a little bet before. You said Bitcoin would go to 75 pre-halving. I said 40. You were right. So I want to hear your opinion. What do you think?
I think it's a great question, and I like being put on the spot. And I just like to say this to start out, is that nobody knows exactly where the prices are going. All we can do is follow the research, the past, and our experience in this market. And for all of you that are following along the Crypto Trends podcast, and Armando and myself, you know that we've been in this game a very, very long time. So we're speaking from experience. We understand the markets, and we really know how to get to the bottom of where things are going. That does not mean that we know exactly where things are going. A lot of fake gurus out there will claim they know exactly what's happening next, and that couldn't be further from the truth. There's never one outcome that we're all in on, and you just have to analyze the potential scenarios, keep an eye on the movement, and dial it in from there. That's so important for everyone to understand. I hope you're taking notes. So in the case of Bitcoin reaching 80,000 in the next couple weeks, I could see two possible scenarios play out. Number one is a correction post-halving, which we've been talking about since the early episodes of the podcast. And I could see a correction of $10, $20, maybe even $30,000 post-halving, but we'll see how it plays out. And of course, we will keep all of you up to date on a daily basis through the community and our public lives that Armando and I do on a daily basis. And then number two would be another consolidation phase to build up strength for the next move up. So those would be my two scenarios. As far as price goes, it's really likely we're going to see us break through this $80,000 mark just because there's so much momentum right now in the markets and so much money pouring in. And we haven't broken the lows that we assumed could have happened in the last few weeks. So I'm bullish, always bullish on Bitcoin. To me, it's a hold. People ask, when are you selling? I'm just not selling anytime soon. It's going to be well past 200K per Bitcoin before I consider selling.
Yeah, I agree with you too. And I was just talking with Max about that, is that I'm not taking profits to 150 to 200 like you. And I agree that like these two scenarios that you just spoke about are like the two most likely things to happen, right? A lot of people want us to say Bitcoin is going immediately to 100,000. It will eventually get there, but it's not going to happen like that. It's going to be some pullbacks, it's going to be some consolidation along the way, but it will eventually get there.
Yeah, I love that because so many people think it's just up and to the right when you're investing in something like Bitcoin, and it's just not the case. But that's also beneficial for everyone following along that really takes notes and takes action, because there's so many people that still live with analysis paralysis. I just had a conversation the other evening when I was in LA with a group of people that their friends are not in crypto at all. These are educated people that have money and they're still not in crypto at all, not even Bitcoin, because they think it's too volatile, they're too afraid of it, they don't understand it. And that is a great sign to really reiterate what we've been talking about for years, is that we're still early. I know it might not sound like or seem like we're early because we're engulfed in it every single day, but to outsiders, we're still early.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know, the halving is coming up. Right now they have it at April 19th, 20th, somewhere around that time. It's not exact, but as we get closer to that date, it's going to be a more exact date. And a lot of people ask us all the time, should we get in before or after the halving, and you know, whatever. But besides all of that, I think what the halving is going to do, principally, it's going to create like a final call for institutions, banks, and organizations. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're in a restaurant, they say, you know, final call for food, the kitchen is closing right before they close. That's your last chance to put in your order. Same thing with crypto, same thing with a lot of Bitcoin and other cryptos, is that this will be the last chance that institutions have to make ridiculous profits going into that retail boom after the halving. So I think that a lot of institutions will see that opportunity, and it's going to cause, you know, some excitement around the halving. I don't know exactly when, but it will. And this is the last time the institutions will have to get in at these prices, and they know it, right? Even if there's some kind of correction or consolidation, this is the perfect opportunity for the elite banks and rich to get into this asset. And remember, we've seen 30% corrections post-halving before. 2017 is a notable example. Even if it happened, a lot of people may panic, go crazy, call it, you know, message us. But to me, I see that as the last great opportunity to get into Bitcoin at those prices, right? If that happens, I'm going to buy as much Bitcoin and other assets as I can.
Yeah, and if you're still not sure what to do, you know, we talk about dollar cost averaging on every episode, and it's so important. And even today, prior to filming, I had 3 different people ask me what I thought would we see a dip in and around the halving. And what I told all of them is, look, no one really knows. I believe we're in a positive place. But if you're unsure, dollar cost average. It's always the best bet for people, and anyone that's investing in these type of volatile assets is just dollar cost average your entry points, because then you're much safer and you're going to balance it out. So if you're not sure, don't try to wait for a dip, because if you miss it, then you're going to sit on the sidelines and wish you would have gotten in. And stop thinking that it's too late in Bitcoin or any of the crypto markets, because we're just getting started. So many people think we're well into this bull market, which we are, but there's a long way to go with all of this adoption and money pouring in leading up to the halving.
Yeah, and I think we've done a great job over the last, 8 or 9 episodes we've done so far of laying out these scenarios to our audience, right? And one reason why we do that for you guys is that some of these scenarios may not take place, but it's a thought exercise. So when one of these scenarios start to form and play, you've already heard it before. So it's a lot easier to keep your emotions in check when you already know what's coming. So that's one of the biggest reasons why we lay out scenarios for you guys to look at and to learn from. The halving is only 10 days away. And to me, I'm very, very excited about what's going to happen afterwards, right? And I'm very bullish. I know that this cycle is going to be different because this is the last super cycle, I believe, and we both believe, that's ever going to occur in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency extended.
Yeah, exactly. And if Bitcoin's already making all-time highs pre-halving, the sky really seems to be the limit post-halving. So we will see what happens as long as everyone understands when the halving happens, it's not going to be minutes, hours, or maybe even days later where we're going to see this meteoric rise. It may go sideways for a little while. It may go down for a little bit. But at the end of the day, this is a very positive historical moment for Bitcoin growth. And we just have to keep that in mind as we're chartering these waters. So we want each and every one of you to go to the comments right now. Tell us your price prediction for Bitcoin by the halving. We'd love to see those notes.
So 2 things. We got the link in the description for our new newsletter, so sign up. And 2, we got the Discord coming brand new next week, so make sure you guys watch out for that. The newsletter will have all the details.
Before we get into talking point number 2, let's take a second to hear from our amazing sponsor, Proppy. So whether you're a real estate professional looking to modernize your practice or a buyer-seller eager to navigate the market with the latest technology, Proppy offers an unparalleled platform that simplifies, secures, and revolutionizes real estate transactions. Get ahead of the curve and explore how Proppy can transform your real estate experience today. For more information, go to proppy.com. And for the side hustle no one is talking about, go to proppykeys.com and learn how to mint properties and landmarks on the blockchain. And don't forget, since calling out Proppy, we saw a high of $2.92 from our entry point at 48 cents and is over 5x already, so keep an eye on that one. Okay, so let's transition into talking point number 2, which is a major bullish development for XRP. We've been talking about XRP a bunch lately, Armando, so break it down for our listeners of why we're still so bullish on XRP and why we really like it for the future.
Yeah, some huge news broke at the end of last week saying that XRP Ripple is going to be offering a stablecoin that's going to rival Tether and other stablecoins out there. It's pretty big news in the world of XRP and the greater world of cryptocurrency. But before we get into that, let's define what a stablecoin is. Now, a stablecoin is a cryptocurrency that's linked to a commodity or another currency in order to create a stable price. And now the reason why we want is crucial is because it reduces the price swings and allows the price to be more predictable and useful for everyday transactions. To me, Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, wouldn't have chosen to make this announcement unless they knew for almost a certainty that it was going to be a positive outcome with the settlement talks with the SEC. Now, I'm just speculating here, but it just makes a lot of sense. Now, why would they create a product that can connect with U.S. banks, go through all this labor, work to do these things if they weren't almost sure that this SEC will be resolved positively? Now, people don't realize this, is that a lot of these big companies, they have entire think tanks of very smart people, some of the smartest people in crypto in the world, some of the smartest legal people in the world. They know what's coming next, and they're planning and predicting and making plays based on that information. So what do you think?
Yeah, you said something that I thought was very, very critical a couple weeks ago. And you said that if BlackRock were wrong or Fidelity were wrong, they would make it right. And this is so important for everyone following along to understand. When the biggest players in the world get involved in an asset class, they're not going to lose. They're going to make it work. And that's why I'm so bullish and continue to be bullish, because they know what they're doing. Like you said, they have massive teams, billions of dollars invested. They're not going to be wrong. And all we're doing here, and especially for us that we're in early, is getting ahead of the curve so we can still make those incredible gains. So I think you're exactly right. To me, it's not about if they will come out on top from this dragged out case, but it's really about when. While I don't have a crystal ball, I can definitely look into the answer of when, and my gut just tells me that this case could be settled at any moment and that it will definitely be settled. And we have to look at it because so many people have been saying XRP is dead, it's going to go to zero, and it's not going anywhere, and it's sideways, and it's just ridiculous. We always talk about when in doubt, zoom out. And, you know, between you, me, and Max, we've all come to the consensus that this macro chart technicals are just overwhelmingly bullish for XRP. And additionally, the fundamentals and innovation that's happening with XRP Ledger are just really catching up to the bullishness we see in the charts. So for me, I think anyone that is against XRP, good for you. I'm going to stick to the bull side of XRP. I love it. You love it. The team loves it. And I think that once the news clears and the dust settles, we will see XRP really, really start to move to new heights, and we'll see what happens from there.
So one thing I tell people is XRP is still number 6 on CoinMarketCap in all the cryptocurrencies by market cap, right? It wouldn't be there anymore if it was not a great coin to be in. It's holding its value for a reason. It's still number 6. So what that shows is that XRP has great strength. And one thing that the charts are looking like is that it's just sitting there waiting for this great catalyst to happen. And I think that whatever the catalyst is, we don't know yet, but I think it could come out any moment now and drive XRP to new heights. One thing I love about XRP is it's one of the few assets out there that has not had a major run up yet. When everything else, it looks like it's overbought, everything else is already have a lot of attention, a lot of volume, a lot of interest. XRP is one of the only true valuable tokens or coins I see out there that really have a lot of potential that hasn't had that run up yet.
Yeah, and that just comes along with so many people think short term. They don't even understand these markets and where they're going to go. And that's why we're always preaching when in doubt, zoom out. I get DMs, messages, and comments every single day of, oh, why do you talk about XRP? It's dead. It hasn't moved at all in the past few months, but Shiba Inu is, or some of these other projects are. Yeah, that's great. But you can't dismiss the real world application of XRP and where it's going. And that's why with the technicals, I'm still extremely bullish. And I think anyone would be foolish not to look at the adoption of what XRP is doing just in the banking industry alone. They're going to be integrated into some of the biggest banks worldwide over the coming months and years. And so it's foolish to think that XRP is a dead token.
And it reminds me of the technology adoption cycle, right? Is that like if you look at like a company like Amazon or, you know, every internet company, if you would have invested in all the internet companies in late 90s, now you would have saw a slight growth. You would have saw a severe retraction when the dot-com bubble booth, and there would have been a long period of low, right? And then if you would have continued to hold, you'd be up 1,000 times now.
Yeah.
So markets don't move like you said that somebody said that they would say, well, XRP hasn't moved. Well, markets move like that sometimes. In the bigger gains, it's almost like a coil, right? It's that if we push a coil down, the more we push it, the more time, the more it explodes outwards.
Yeah, and it's not just XRP. Too many people, and I hope all of you are taking notes, that are getting into cryptocurrency and learning how to invest long term, think that everything is supposed to be this euphoric rise. You put $100 in, it turns into $10,000, and you're going to sell at the top and time it perfectly. That's just not realistic. Most investments don't go that way, and the people that have the strength to be able to stay in the market, stay in the asset over time are the ones that are going to win. So it really comes down to people just need to learn when in doubt, zoom out and really look at these markets from a longer term lens. And that's where you build the wealth and make all the money. So I think that brings us nicely into our final talking point, which is an update on the altcoin market. So I know price action has been pretty much following Bitcoin for alts. But what are you seeing right now on that front? And is the altcoin season going to happen similarly to the last halving, or do you feel it's different this time? Walk our listeners through it.
Yeah, I think altcoin season will come later after the halving, after Bitcoin has its explosive growth. But just talking about this week is that it's been a fairly, quiet week for altcoins. Bitcoin had a slight correction about, 7-8 days ago. A lot of the altcoins corrected even further. And I think that was a great opportunity to buy and obtain some of these some entry points for people who hadn't gotten in yet. So I think that these corrections and retractions are great for people to buy altcoins, because altcoins almost always will take a deeper retraction or correction when Bitcoin corrects. So it's a great opportunity. My perspective on altcoins right now is that I think they're just right now waiting for Bitcoin to make up its mind, right? Is that we're stuck right now between two numbers in the Bitcoin charts. So I think when Bitcoin finally moves on to that 80,000, 85 that we talked about, that's when we'll start to see a lot of these altcoins start to take on gains. And I believe that altcoins will have that crazy run again, but it'll be delayed a little bit after Bitcoin has that exponential growth after the halving. But I think they're all positioned for a great move right now.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. And then people can really start to think about rebalancing their portfolios from there, because you want to make sure that you're getting the gains, the maximum gains you can throughout all of the different sectors. And so for those of you who are new to the podcast, we're very bullish on tokenization projects as well as AI. And our latest tokenization callouts have been LCX, RIO, and NXRA. But we've been talking about this sector for months now. And the reason we continue to be bullish on tokenization projects is that major players such as BlackRock are entering that space and exploring the possibilities of that technology. And obviously it's endless. So don't sleep on real world asset tokenization. That sector in this bull run is just so important to keep your eye on. We talk about Proppy, we talk about some of these other companies and coins that are changing the game. And I look at this sector similar to what we look at AI coins in the first leg. And we believe that tokenization will be one of the biggest, if not the biggest narratives moving forward, just like AI was a year and a half ago. So that's my takeaway on it.
Yeah, and there's a huge need right now for tokenization. The democratization of assets is a huge use case, a strong use case, and most people don't realize that, especially in developing nations. A lot of people don't have the amount of money it takes to get into real estate or get into these other projects. But if we make it tokenized, it allows smaller players to get in and increases the amount of people that are able to get in. So like I said, is that I think it's a big opportunity right now. And a lot of the world's biggest corporations are involved in tokenization of real world assets. And to be honest, with the overall crypto narrative that's happening right now, AI, even more so with tokenization, I think this is one of the biggest opportunities that we've seen in the last 20 or 30 years to make a significant amount of money by understanding how these assets move and how they work.
Yeah, I agree. And the way to look at it for the average investor out there or listener today is to really understand that tokenization levels the playing field. Instead of going to an art gallery and seeing a $1 million painting that you can't buy, you can now go online and be able to buy fractional shares in that piece of art. It's going to happen in the classic car market, which is really cool for people where they can own a proportional share of it. Same thing that Proppy's doing for the real estate market. So tokenization really levels the playing field for the average Joe or Mary out there that wants to invest and have a diversified portfolio, but doesn't yet have the money to buy the whole unit of whatever that asset will be. So that's why I think that tokenization is the biggest narrative everyone should be watching in the crypto markets moving forward, along with AI and gaming. But tokenization, we're very early, and you guys really need to take notes and take action here. Before we wrap up this episode, we want to answer the questions asked by you, our amazing audience. But before we go into the Q&A, we're going to give one lucky listener $100 in Proppy that comments crypto on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. And if you haven't yet, go to the comments section of this episode and drop your questions in there so we can answer them on one of the upcoming episodes. Okay, let's get right into the Q&A. Jordan asks, what's your favorite feature about the Proppy platform? I can take this one.
Yeah,
I like Proppy because we just talked about real world assets and tokenization. And I think anyone that wants to get into that sector should go to proppykeys.com. There's 2 different portions of Proppy, and really dig into what you can do there with tokenization of real world assets and minting landmarks and addresses. Very important for everyone listening. I think this is a great opportunity for a new side hustle that nobody's talking about. So Jordan, I would check out proppykeys.com and learn about minting addresses and landmarks on the blockchain.
Yeah, so second question is Anwar asks, do you think Bitcoin has a better chance of hitting 50,000 or 100,000 next? Well, I don't think we'll go back down to 50. I think we have too many support lines before hitting 50, and I don't think we're going to hit 50 again in the near term. I think we have a higher likelihood of going through 100 before we're hitting 50 again. Now, there's going to be some retractions. I just don't think they'll be that deep. Also, third question is Tish asks, what's your prediction for the Bitcoin price action immediately after the halving? Well, like we said before, is that there's highly likely to be some kind of pullback. And we still think that's going to happen. But, maybe a month or maybe 2 months after, we'll see the movement back towards the upside, and we'll start to see the exponential growth.
So Armando, let's do it again. Let's walk out to the edge. After the halving, let's say 90 days after the halving, has your price prediction changed at all, or where do you see it going?
It had to change because I was wrong about the first one. But
that's what I was leading you towards.
So I said 100 by the end of the year. We can see 120 by the end of the year now, maybe even higher. So I think that my 100,000 was a little bit conservative. So I would say 120, maybe a little bit farther than that. I would say. What about you?
I like it, and I like how you said 120 and even higher, because that gives you some wiggle room. So I love that. But yeah, it's crazy right now with us seeing all-time highs before the halving. Hence why we said nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. But I think 120 is a good number. But with the market right now and all the money that's going into Bitcoin and the crypto markets, we could see 140, 150, even 160 by the end of the year. So it's a good time to be alive. And for anyone listening to the Crypto Trends podcast, make sure you take notes, take action, share this podcast with your friends. Make sure you give us a 5-star review, because it's so important to help us and our team keep doing great for you, and know that you care and you're listening. So I want to thank each and every one of you for listening and following along. You can find us on Instagram at Crypto Trends Podcast, and on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. We are so excited for the rest of 2024 and beyond, sharing all of our crypto insights with all of you. And as always, thank you for joining, following along. We're so excited for the Crypto Trends community moving forward, the launch of the newsletter. We have the Discord coming up in a few days, so you will hear all about that launch. And we are just incredibly grateful to have each and every one of you following along, listening, and sharing the Crypto Trends podcast every single week. Thank you.